Bob's Radio Cafeteria. You can find me at facebook.com/Bob's Radio Cafeteria. And you can also find me on iTunes at Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, where my good friends Fred Lazarus with his great Durfcast, and, of course, the guy that runs the whole thing, Ralph Tycho. Yay! Anyways, my guest this week is the one and only Pat Morrow, veteran tour manager. Pat, are you there?
I am. Hey, Robert.
How's everything going? But before we go, tell people, if you want them to, where they can find you on the Internet.
Oh, you can reach me at Patrick_Angus at yahoo.com.
There it is. Now, before we go, of course, we have to give props to one man and one man only, the one and only Howie Gordon. Howie, thank you so much. And the crowd goes quiet. There we go. So, first of all, as being a veteran road tour manager, tell us some of the people that you were tour managers for.
Well, I spent many years with Journey, the rock group Journey. Worked with Boz Scaggs and Etta James, Tower of Power, Night Ranger, Marilyn Scott, Huey Lewis and the News. Did tours and production stuff with Michael Jackson, Elton John, Madonna, Lynyrd Skynyrd, The Police in the old days, David Bowie. What a fabulous tour.
What tour was that one?
Well, the one I did was Glass Spider.
Oh, the 87 tour with Peter Frampton on guitar?
Yeah, it was really... No, not that one. This was... oh, yeah, maybe it was 80. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wow.
That was nothing but fun. And Lenny Pickett from Tower of Power and Saturday Night Live was the sax player. And he would dress Bowie. Bowie would dress the horn section as, in lederhosen, and all the band members were. The costuming and the shtick was just amazing. He was very creative cat.
Very much so. Big loss, huge loss. David Bowie passing.
Yeah, interesting how he, I guess, kept it secret that he had that he wasn't well, and released that album. Kind of a hurry.
Black Star, yeah.
He knew it was. He knew it was towards the end, and it was coming. And what an interesting guy, yeah. Very, very gifted guy.
Oh, the influence that he has on popular culture and on music is just tremendous. And just how he'd always redo his image was so fascinating, and then it always would take off. A lot of people, when they change their look, it doesn't do much, but for him, he
was a real Picasso, wasn't he? He was just an amazing cat.
What was he like? Well, how much interaction did you have with him, and what was he like?
I didn't really spend a lot of time with him, but Eric Barrett, a famous tour manager who was Jimi Hendrix's tour manager, was his tour manager, and Bowie was amazing. I remember Paris. He shows up. Everybody's there, waiting. It's just before he's going on, and he pulls up in a big limo, big Citroën, like the president of France, and all the flash bulbs are going and everything's, and he's dressed to the nines, and this absolutely the prettiest Asian lady I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just knocked down, gorgeous lady gets out with him, and they walk up to the stage, and he gives her a little peck and walks onto the stage and takes the mic and goes. And it's just, the guy was totally class. He was classy. Amazing.
Oh, wow. What an amazing, just there alone just shows you what kind of guy he is. Did he have an aura? Was there like an aura to him? Because he just seems like if you're in a room with him, it's not just an ordinary guy. It's like, he's just one of the... He was regular, folks. He was not... No, he was, he's a working class kid from London, East London. Oh, cool. South London. And he was he didn't put on airs, really.
he had definitely had presence. He filled the room, that's for sure.
Now let's go back. Let's go way back. How did you get into this? It's such a fabulous and interesting line of work that you were in, and it's not just like, well, I picked up a guitar and started the band. This is something different. How did you get into this business?
I came out to San Francisco in 1971.
From Pittsburgh?
From New York.
New York, okay.
Yeah, I was working in New York, and I broke up with the lady I was with and was miserable, and my best friend knew it. I needed a change, a scene. John Draper, who later became...
Hey, Don.
John Draper, who also went to Antioch with John. Went to Antioch with me and Huey.
Hey!
He was in San Francisco working for SIR, Studio Instrument Rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew I was in a bad way. And he said, man, don't stay there in New York. You're just going to waste away, feeling bad. Come out here, I'll get you work. And, started. So I drove out to San Francisco in my pickup truck with all my worldly goods. And I remember I arrived on a Sunday and crashed at John's studio in Project Artaud. You know Project Artaud, you used to be. It's not anymore.
No.
16th in Alabama in the Lower Mission.
Oh, wow.
And John put me up. He had an extra bedroom, sleeping loft. Mm-hmm. And I stayed there for a couple of months. And the next day was a Monday morning, and I was working the next day on the clock at Studio Instrument Rentals. And a couple of months later, 9-year Woolridge, the legendary tour manager, who's now doing, who did he do? He's done Michael McDonald and all kinds of famous big acts. He's incredible tour manager, just amazing cat. And he came to me on a slow Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, and said, "Come across the street with me." And we went across the street to CBS Studios at the time, and they knew us all there, and we had to run of the place. So we went into Studio A, which was vacant, the big room where, Santana and Simon and Garfunkel and
oh my God,
Big Brother and Janis Joplin, everybody made their records. Roy Haley, the famous Roy Haley was the producer, and blah blah blah. And we're standing there, and he goes, "Listen, man, I want you to come out with me and Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show." Oh, wow. And come work on the road crew with me and go on tour. I go, "Well, I'm working here at SIR, and I'm on the clock. I don't want to give up my situation,
Right.
And he says, "Listen, come out. You're just going to love it, and I'm going to pay you $150 a week and $10 a day. $10 a day per diem."
Wow, that's not bad for that time. That's not bad.
$220 a week, and I thought I'd hit the mother load. I went crazy. I just said, yeah. And I realized I could leave town and go on tour and just leave my shit at John's place or my friend's place and not pay rent because I didn't need an apartment. And when I came home between tours, I just crashed at a friend's house. So I realized I could keep all that money and not pay rent. I thought I was really on my wildest dreams.
I mean, you had a wallet full of dough, and you didn't have to worry about, like you said, responsibilities like rent and stuff.
All I had was pot. All I needed was to be able to buy pot and put some money in the savings account. So I go on tour with Dr. Hook, and they were huge in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Germany, and England.
So this is way before Spending the Night Together. This is probably 5-6 years before then or something.
Yeah, maybe 3-4 years. But yeah, because I stayed with them for a couple 3 years, and Spending the Night Together was towards the end of my tenure with them. Yeah, in the mid 70s.
Got it.
And we got to do some beautiful tours of Scandinavia and England and Germany.
Wow.
And I loved it. I had such a great time. But we worked. I remember on one tour, we did 56 cities in 62 days.
Wow.
I counted it up on the itinerary one day.
Wow.
And, 56 cities in 62 days. So on the 6 off days, 5 of them were travel days, either on a bus or a plane. There was only one day off in place in Vienna. And I remember it was, and it's the only time it was sunny. The whole time it was raining. It was in the fall. And in Europe in the fall, it just rains. It's gray. And I remember that day off in Vienna, it was sunny, and I went across the street from we had a beautiful hotel, Palace Hotel. Beautiful, gorgeous old style, grand hotel with the high ceilings and all that stuff. And I went across the street to the park and had an espresso and apple strudel and walked in the park. And that was like, I couldn't believe it. It was heaven.
This is you, like a year or two earlier, you were in this horrible relationship, and now here you are. Did you have did you have that moment and go like, wow, baby, look where I am at?
Yeah, we're traveling the world. I'm with my buddy John and 9 Year and guys that I really respect, and the band, I'm a fixture with the band as a drum roadie, guitar roadie. I was really good at changing strings and tuning and all that shit. I was a good roadie. I was very accomplished as an equipment guy. So
it actually probably helped you, too, because then you were like, they could save money on other people because it's like, well, Pat can do more than one thing.
Oh, well, in those days, that's what always happened, yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And I mean, it was the kind of thing where you became part of a family of traveling musicians and crew guys, and it was tight. Yeah, we had fun. We had a lot of fun. We didn't make a lot of money, but it was so much fun. And I remember we came back from that tour where we did 56 and 62, and we were flying into JFK to change planes to fly to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And we fly into JFK, and we're standing in line at customs, and I was so tired. All I remember is Gary Doon, my partner, going, Bubba, wake up. My nickname was Bubba.
Yeah, right.
He goes, Bubba, wake up. And I opened my eyes, and I was standing there. I said, what happened? He said, you fell asleep standing up.
Oh, my God.
So beat. I was so beat, I fell asleep standing up in line.
Wow.
That's
the ultimate in tiredness, folks, is when you fall asleep while standing up.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, it was good, and we had a great time, and that carried on for a couple of years, and then I got work as the equipment guy with Journey.
Okay, so this is where Journey comes in, and when you came into Journey, this is when they were still an instrumental band, right?
Well, they weren't an instrumental band. Greg Raleigh was the lead singer. The second and third album.
Okay.
Look Into the Future, and then the third album was called Next.
Next, right. And that's like this is pre-Robert Fleischman, pre-Steve Perry.
Right, and it was incredibly accomplished band, musically and instrumentally, and Greg Raleigh, the voice of Santana, was
absolutely
a singer and such a soulful guy. And
Ansley Dunbar, I mean, Jesus.
I'm gonna see them all this weekend. They're rehearsing in San Francisco, and Steve Smith and Greg Raleigh are back in the band. And that's gonna be a great
Jonathan Cain's not there anymore?
Oh yeah, John's there. And Greg and Steve Smith's gonna play drums, and Greg Raleigh's gonna be there to sing and play as well.
Oh God!
And Arnell, the Filipino kid who takes Perry's role.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
I'll bet you. I predict it'll be the best Journey ever.
It's because it's nice because I saw that the drummer they had for all these years, Dean Castronova, he had some personal problems, and then I was like,
Dino.
But they replaced them with Steve Smith, which I was like, oh, that's nice. They're kind of going back. They brought Steve in. Now you say Greg Raleigh's coming in too. It's like this is a chance to really see Journey at its best.
Oh, I think it's going to be a killer tour, yeah.
They should get Robert and Steve to come in, too. That'd be Robert Fleischman, I have to give a shout-out to, who has been a guest of my show, a hell of a nice guy. What a great talent. And hello, Robert.
And a great band. His band, Sky, is excellent as well.
Oh, they're fantastic. And he's just such a cool guy. And he's just,
very cool guy.
Very cool. And so you came onto Journey. So they're around the third album, which is called Net.
There I am. I'm the drum roadie with Journey. And my responsibility is Ainsley Dunbar, the English drummer who had been
Frank Zappa and all that.
He played on Spiders from Mars, or what was it?
Well, he played with Zappa.
And
I always say Ainsley. It's Ainsley.
Zappa, John Mayo, David Bowie,
yep.
Journey, Whitesnake, and Starship.
Yeah, he was with Jefferson Starship, late 70s, early 80s. He was like on the Find Way Back and all that good stuff. And yeah.
He was a total...
Oh, and Lou Reed, too. David Bowie and Lou Reed, too. That's right. He played with... I forgot about that.
Right. And he was a totally difficult prick. I mean, he drove everything. Complete fucking asshole.
Wow. Tell us what you really feel, Pat. Tell us what you really...
He drove everybody crazy. And so the reason I succeeded with Journey was because I wouldn't take his shit, and I would just throw it right back at him. Like, fuck you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's the New York in you. Would that be fair to assume, the New Yorker in you?
Well, I guess. Type A. Anyway, because of that, we hit it off, and the band loved it, and I graduated to tour manager because I could handle this jerk from England.
How did the rest of the band? The rest of the band weren't too fond of him either.
I would walk into the dressing room and I'd say, "Ladies and gentlemen, His Majesty the Queen of England, Ainsley Dunbar." And I used to make fun of him constantly.
That's hilarious.
I'm in the room and I go, "Friends, are you tired of everything costing more? Well, let me introduce you to something that just gets cheaper every day. English Ainsley Dunbar, the biggest scumbag on the planet." Oh, and I was merciless. And he loved it.
I love it.
He loved it because everybody would kiss his ass and suck up to him. And he was terrible. He was a monster. He was like always taking advantage of people, cheap as they get. How about this? He's so cheap.
How cheap was he?
And one day we're in the pancake in Denny's having breakfast in Texas. And we're playing with REO Speedwagon and Journey.
Wow.
Deep in the heart of Texas. And we're driving in two rent-a-cars.
Right.
And I always drove one rent-a-car and he drove the other one. Because he was my backup driver. So me and him would run everybody around. And I'd have 2 band members with me. He'd have 2 band members with him. 5 guys in the band. 6 people traveling. Me and 5 band members. 3 and 3, and 2 full-size 4-doors, because that's what we needed to fit all the luggage in. We had so many. Neil Schon had so many fucking pairs of shoes. We used to laugh at him. It was like...
This is when he was wearing those huge platforms, right?
Oh, his bag, yeah. And his bag, he's got snakeskin boots and fucking lizard skin boots. And, if you look at those old pictures of Santana, that's the shit. That's the kind of shoe, platform shit. Anyway... So we're having breakfast, and we finish breakfast, and it's hot in Texas. And so I go, "Ainsley, give me the keys. I'll go out and start the cars." And I would go out and start the rent-a-cars and turn the AC on and then have them both running when the guys came out so it would be cool in the car because we had to drive all day. We had a 4-hour drive to Austin or something. So I leave 50 cents in my plate for my tip and pay for my breakfast. We're all going Dutch. And I go out and start the cars and do the... Ross comes out to me. Ross, the bass player, gets...
Ross Valerie.
Right, exactly. And the bass player for Journey, still the bass player.
Yes, still.
Also a wonderful man. An absolute top grade A person. I love Ross. And he comes out and he says, "Pat, you know what Ainsley did?" I go, "What?" He said, "As soon as you left, he took one of your quarters and put it in front of his plane." Now that's cheap, Robert.
Now that is cheap. At a Denny's.
That's the tip by splitting mine between me and him. a quarter.
I know, right? It's like, dude, you played on all these records. You're this guy, and you're maybe I don't know. It's strange. Why are we not surprised though? Now, were you around the decision of when they decided they wanted to have another singer? Like, or was it just you just dealt with them on tour?
I was around when Perry came along. I was around when Jonathan Cain. In fact, I'm the guy who called John Cain to invite him in the band.
He was in the Babies at the time, correct?
Yeah, we did a great tour with the Babies. We called John Waite Bingo to Chimp.
Why did you call him that?
Because he was a little fucking baby. He was like, but fantastic.
Really, pardon the pun. He truly was a baby.
No, he was okay, but
they're a great band. God, they were a great band.
Oh, they were fantastic. And
weren't they? I mean, seriously,
yeah,
people listening to this, if you don't know the Babies, just put in Every Time I Think of You and Isn't It Time. Just listen to those two songs, and if you don't like them after just hearing those two songs, then you might have to get your eardrums fixed because they were fantastic.
Ricky, the bass player, went on to play with Styx all these years, and I mean, it was a fabulous band. John Cain, Ricky, John Waite. And who the fuck was the drummer? God damn it.
Oh, the drummer's name was, what was his name? And he's still doing it. He's the one original guy left.
Oh, killing.
God, what was his name? Hold on, it'll come to me.
Not Bill.
It's like an English name. Oh, we're bad tonight, aren't we? We're horrible.
Oh,
we can't even think of a name.
Was
it, God, what was his name? Was it Tony Brock?
Tony Brock.
Tony Brock. It was Tony Brock. Okay, I was going to say there was a Wally in the band, too, and I can't remember his name.
Tony Brock.
Yeah,
you are right, sir.
Thank you.
Tony Brock.
So
yeah, they were lovely guys, and we loved.
Is that how you stole? Is that how you asked Jonathan Cain? You guys all night were like, let's. First of all, was Greg? What was going on with Greg?
Well, they weren't going to be touring anymore, and it was time for Greg to exit stage left and John to come in, and it just all magically worked. But Herbie said to me, call Jonathan and ask him if he wants to be in the band, because he knew I knew him, and I had made friends with all the guys. We were buddies, and yeah, it was a magic moment.
This magic, there's one thing I wanted to ask you. One thing that's speaking of Jonathan Cain, and I didn't know this. I don't do a lot of notes before my shows. I kind of like to let it free flow, but there's some things that you got to know some stuff. But I didn't know that in the famous Journey song, very beautiful song, Faithfully, written by Jonathan Cain, there's actually in the lyrics something written towards you. And I was like, what? And for the people, Faithfully is a beautiful, beautiful song. Actually, a really cool video. It's about them on tour. But actually, I'll read it right here. According to the liner notes in Journey's Time 3 compilation, Cain paid tribute to road manager Pat Morrow and stage manager Benny Collins when he wrote, "We all need the clowns to make us smile." Now, when did you first of all, how endearing is that to you, and how did you find out about it? Did anyone tell you, or did Jonathan come up to you later and say, "Oh, by the way, we've got this"?
He told me. I just heard it the first time I heard your song, and I thought, I knew he was talking about me, and because I had those guys. The way to tour and enjoy it is to make it fun, to make it a sacred quest that you're on. It's more than just work and making money, and to make it fun. And we fed everybody really good, and we were smoking reefer the whole time, really good reefer. We were famous for good reefer. If you wanted to get high on the good shit, go to the production office. That was
get on the Journey tour.
Yeah.
And in the early to mid '80s, they were one of the biggest bands in the world, and you were right there. So that must have been really cool for you to, be there in the early years when they were just like, this kind of fusion kind of band, doing a lot of instrumentals, but they did some vocals too. But
Ricky Phillips, Jonathan Cain, Ricky Phillips, Tony Brock, guitarist Stalker, Wally, that's it. That's and then John Waite, yeah. So the original lineup was Michael Corby, John Waite, Tony Brock, and Wally Stalker. And then in 1978, Michael Corby was replaced by Jonathan Cain, and Ricky Phillips took over on bass.
Got it.
From 79 until 81, the Babies lineup consisted of vocalist Wade, drummer Brock, bassist Phillips, guitarist Stocker, and keyboard Kane. And that was the band that we toured with in '80.
And they were a great band, and they, what a great warm-up band. Wow.
I tell you, those were fucking badass nights.
Oh my God, you must have been on top of the world, my brother.
And John Waite always had a weepy, intense, emotional, ridiculous thing going on with some precious, gorgeous, frail, fragile, totally in love, and he's in love with her. Check every fucking city.
Love it.
Soap opera drama like you wouldn't believe.
I love it. That's when I think of the Babies. That's what I want to think about, and you've just made that clear. That's what it was. The suggestion was like, okay, so John Kane, so Greg leaves, John comes in.
Notwithstanding the nickname Bingo, John Waite was a fabulous guy and a great singer. And really, they were without a doubt. I mean, that tour and the tour we did with Van Halen and Montrose were really classic night. I mean, there were some nights was Van Halen opening, Montrose special guest, Journey closing, and then there was a tour we did with Thin Lizzy with Phil Lynette.
Yep.
A tour we did with AC/DC, where AC/DC opened all the shows, but when we get to San Antonio, Jack Orban, the promoter, comes to me and says, Pat, listen, I don't want to tell you your business. I know you're supposed to be the headliner, but I'd strongly advise you let Journey open the show and let AC/DC close. I go, what are you talking about? That's crazy. No fucking way. We're the headliner. He goes, I'm telling you, San Antonio is a heavy metal town. These guys, they know AC/DC much better than Journey. Yeah. And for some reason, I could see it in his face. I knew he was being honest and sincere with me. And I went to the band. I said, listen, we're going on first tonight. This is the best thing to do. And we'll get back to the hotel earlier, and there'll be more time in the bar for you anyway. And fuck it, that's what we're doing. And
were they cool about it? Were they like, sure, whatever?
Oh, yeah. They in those days, we didn't have any problems with those kinds of things. They trusted me, and I knew I had their back, and they had mine, and it was all a complete fucking brotherhood.
Was this Bon Scott era, or was this early Brian Johnson? This is probably Bon Scott, right? Era of AC/DC? Oh, wow. My God. So before we forget, I've got to ask you, any great Van Halen, AC/DC, or Thin Lizzy stories?
Let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
We perform, and we do really well in San Antonio. AC/DC comes on, and you'd have thought the gods had descended from Olympus. And I'm standing there, and I'm watching this fucking pandemonium break out. All these Mexican kids, mostly Hispanic audience, absolutely insane. To this day, San Antonio is probably the hottest heavy metal town in the world.
Interesting.
Wow. One of them. And it's a largely Hispanic audience. And I realized after a couple of years of going back there that it was kind of like young rebel teenagers kind of rebelling against the mariachi, salsa, Tejano thing and adopting the rock and roll thing, sort of the way white kids today are all into hip hop.
Right.
It's like they don't want to follow in their parents' footsteps. They want to get into hip hop, not rock and roll. Well, so likewise with these kids in San Antonio and all over Texas. I mean, I'm telling you, Pantera, AC/DC, Poison, all those bands, all the hair bands, everybody, they all made their bread and butter out of Texas.
It's interesting, too, is that San Antonio was into AC/DC before the rest of the world, I mean, especially America really caught on to them, which makes it even cooler.
Robert, I was so glad at the end of the night. I remember going back to the hotel early and thinking to myself, thank God that promoter taught, Jack Orban, Jack Orban, Stone City Productions. He told me, he said, Pat, I'm telling you, listen to me, this is and I go, okay. And I just knew he was right. I knew something told me, you know how you have that instinct, you can tell you're not being bullshitted, and the guy's doing you a favor, and sure enough, he was doing us a big fucking favor, because we did not want to follow.
No, because they would have been probably half the place would have left anyways, or they would have been throwing stuff at. How was the reaction when you guys were on stage first? How did the audience react?
Oh, no. We had a great set and everything went down great, but it was totally appropriate for us to open for AC/DC.
That's so cool.
They were, yeah, exactly. If it had been the other way around, the kids would have left and would have been throwing beer cans at us because they bought the ticket to see AC/DC. They didn't. Most of them, I would venture to say, did not know who Journey was as much as they knew who AC/DC was.
And what tour was this? Was this the first tour with Steve Perry, or was this the next tour?
No, this was 76.
So the second album or the third album?
Next.
So they still weren't huge. Got it.
Yeah, this was next, and then came Infinity, which was the breakout album with Perry in 77, 78.
Did you have anything to do with the coming in of Steve, or first Robert Fleischman and then Steve Perry, or was that with the band?
I worked with both guys and broke them in, and I remember Robert Fleischman, and he kind of washed out. It didn't work out, and Perry came about through a guy called Charlie Copeland at CBS Records. And from the get-go, we all knew that Perry was a guy. He was so talented. Oh my God,
what a voice. Jesus.
Really, the greatest white boy that ever sang.
Oh, I agree. But I wanted to go back real quickly. Do you have any good Van Halen, Thin Lizzy, or AC/DC stories? Especially, I mean, you're talking about three charismatic, amazing characters, lead singers, David Lee Roth, Bon Scott, and Phil Lynott. Any stories?
Yeah, Phil Lynott was a really sweet guy. He was such a nice guy, and I loved Bill Cayley, the production manager, and the band was just so much fun to work with and so good. I remember one night we played the old Waldorf in San Francisco, 2 shows, and they went on first and we followed, and they went on first and we followed, 2 shows in a row, and each show, the Thin Lizzy just fucking took command. And Journey never had trouble following anybody, no matter how good they were. We had some unbelievable special guests, from Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath to, AC/DC, Aerosmith.
Wow.
And, we did a lot of big packages. And I'm telling you, those shows at the Waldorf with Thin Lizzy is as close as Journey ever came to getting blown off the stage. They were so fucking good.
Did you guys, were you watching them going like, oh, shit?
And, in that little room, holding 700, 550 people per show.
Yeah.
And it's packed, and the waitresses and the cooks and everybody's hanging out in the rafters. And oh, man. But we followed. We did all right. We Journey was strong, man. Between Neil and Steve and, a guy like Steve on drums, the fucking heartbeat of doom.
Yep.
I mean, Crunch, we called him. He was so fucking good. He still is.
Yeah.
The greatest drummer. I mean, and every second of every day, every time I saw him in the dressing room, at the hotel, on the bus, in the plane, always with the pad and the sticks, always practicing.
And I liked it because he held the stick like a classic jazz guy. He held it like, not like straight on. He had it to the side like jazz guys do.
Very good. Yeah, very good. Not many people know that.
I like
and
that.
As you know, went on to become the greatest drummer in modern jazz and Downbeat Drummer of the Year and Band of the Year, Steps Ahead.
Oh, yeah.
His activity in the jazz world, in a way eclipses his rock activity. And
exactly.
And
no, you would journey all the way to the, like, when they did that weird phase in 96 and 86 when they had Randy Jackson from who later went on to. Okay, you left him by then. What was his name? Not America's Got Talent. American Idol. Who later on? That's when they had the polka dot. So you were done by them by that time.
Yeah, that's when Michael Laird and Randy Jackson came into the band, and I was still working for the management company, the production company, but I had a series of different tour managers handling the band. I was no longer on the road. But I
got it.
I worked for him right through to the end, and then there was the long hiatus when they went their separate ways and blah blah blah.
Pardon the pun.
And now the new aggregation with Arnell is as strong as ever. I mean, Arnell.
Oh my God.
Have you seen Arnell?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Arnell. He's so talented.
Little dude with these, and what a great story. It's like they're, again, watching, what were they watching, YouTube? Was Jonathan or was it Neil was watching YouTube, and they're like...
Neil saw him and called him up and said, we want you to come to L.A. and there's a ticket for you at the Manila airport, prepaid ticket. And he thought it was his friend Ralphie calling. He said, Ralphie, I know this is you. Fuck you. You know, fun of me. He said, no, it's Neil Sean. And he hung up on him.
Oh, my God, classic.
He goes, no, it's Neil Sean with Journey, you know, and bullshit, Ralphie, fuck you, hangs up again. And the third time Neil says, please, listen, just go to the airport, there's a ticket, we'll meet you at LAX, just come and meet everybody and sit down and talk with us. And so he goes to the airport, and sure enough, there's a ticket there.
His mind must have been blown.
Like, can you imagine?
I mean, here you are. Your greatest influence is Journey. You're in a Journey band. Steve Perry's your idol, and Neil Sean calls you up, and now you and it's put more energy into the band. Like, the band is so popular. I mean, and not to take anything away from Steve Perry at all, but yeah, it really has.
No, that's right. It's a marvelous evolution, and you know, I suppose if Steve had stayed, it would be every bit as good, I'm sure. And
of course,
his talent is solid gold and immutable, but this guy is also an extreme talent.
Yeah, he just seems like such a sweet guy, and you're going to be seeing them next week, which is really cool. And
I talked to Ross today, and I'm going to go by and say hi to everybody. And Scotty Ross, Scotty Ross, who was my production manager in the old days, is now the tour manager, and it's you know what, it's evolved in the most charming and delightful fashion. I got to say, it, after all the ups and downs and ins and outs, it's really great that it's doing like as great as it is, in such great shape. I'm very pleased for the guys.
Did you have a Mary Tyler Moore moment where at one point you spun around and threw your hat in the air and said, "It looks like we've made it after all"?
I don't know about that, Robert.
I would have been great. All right, so you got the Journey. But what about, now, you mentioned other bands. I'm curious, now, how did Madonna, what tour was Madonna, and what was your...
man, we had fun with that. The one I did, Who's That Girl, and the one after that, I forget the name of it. But Who's That Girl?
The one they did the documentary with, the one in 90, maybe?
Yeah, Truth or Dare.
Truth or Dare, yeah.
Truth or Dare. And the thing is, we did... this long summer tour of stadiums, and it just never seemed to end. And every stadium was one of those summers in the Midwest and the South, you know, because it's mostly Tangerine Bowl, Orange Bowl, Champaign, Illinois, Carbondale, Memphis, down to Cotton Bowl, and every stadium. We're doing all the big SEC football stadiums and all that kind of stuff. Legion Field in Birmingham and so on and so on. And every single gig, it rained.
Oh, my God.
And it would usually clear off long enough for her set. At about 7 o'clock, it would, the thunderstorm. It was the typical Midwestern summer thunder showers.
Yep.
It would rain in the morning, rain all day on the guys while they're setting up, clear off at sunset, and be dry and still for a minute, and then start raining again at the loadout. And so the crew, they were just absolutely superstitious about rain by the end of the tour. It was like, she had done something to anger the gods, and they were all paying for it. It was like that kind of tour.
Did you ever have a run-in with her at all? Like, did you ever meet Madonna? Like, or was it not really?
Well, my friend John Draper subsequently became her tour manager.
Oh,
He's
cool.
a runner. He's a jogger and a runner, and she had a trainer and was very fit. And so he goes out on the tour, and he's a brand new tour manager, and he's getting to know her. And the relationship between a tour manager and the artist is extremely intimate. It's even more so than the manager tends to be, because you're the go-to person for everything they need.
That's what I was going to ask. Why is that? Oh, it's because got it.
And you're the buffer between them and the world. And
gotcha.
So it's critical to him, of course, to develop a great rapport and blah blah blah. And so he says, well, is it okay if I run with you guys? To the trainer, and the trainer says, sure. And the next day, him and the trainer and Madonna set off running, and he said that within half a mile, he looks, and the trainer and Madonna are way down the fucking line. And he's a professional 7 miles a day, serious jogger. He's not a bullshit guy. He's like so far behind, he's just shocked. And sure enough, the whole tour, he could never catch her. And this woman was and is, as I understand it, so driven and so possessed of her fitness and just in every way.
Her career, everything, yeah.
Well, she leads by example. Let's put it that way.
I love it.
She's a no bullshit person.
Yep.
Apparently.
You got to respect that. You really got to respect that. If you like her music or not, you cannot take away that. Here we are still talking. Look, Madonna. We're talking about Madonna. Madonna's not talking about us. You know what I mean? There you go. So you did 2 tours with her. So that's a whole different kind of audience from the Journey audiences. So, but it's interesting.
Well,
a lot of the bands you mentioned are different. A
lot of international touring, a lot of stuff overseas. Yeah, it was pretty serious stuff.
Now, here's a question for you. This is a question I want to know. It's a 2-parter. First of all, starstruck. Not the artist you're working with. Let's leave that one off to the side. But the one is, when you were on tour and somebody showed up backstage? And number 2, have you ever met a member of the Beatles? So it's a 2-parter.
I met McCartney, and we did his tour. In fact, that was for the video company Nocturne that I ran. The production.
Oh, wow. Which tour was it? The 89 one or the
first one with Linda. And he was really super to work with. Lovely guy.
Oh, wow.
And Linda was just totally dynamite. What a nice lady.
Was this the 70s or was this the 80s?
Oh, gosh. It was 80.
89. Then it must have been the 89 tour. The big stadium tour?
Yeah. Was that the first one?
The first one was the Wings Across America in 74, 75.
So after Wings. The next one after Wings.
89. That's the one you did.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. That sounds
wow.
Right.
That's what kind of a chat did you have with Paul? Was it just a brief hello?
Oh, just to say hello and shake his hand, Nothing.
Wow.
We didn't really get to know each other. Linda was fun to meet. She was very nice.
She seems like she seemed like, just a sweetheart.
Totally nice lady.
Starstruck were you starstruck right there? When you met Paul and Linda, were you like,
listen,
oh my God?
Robert, let me tell you something. These people pull their pants on one leg at a time, just
right.
like you and me. The
yeah.
guy's pissed standing up. It's don't be starstruck. Everybody's just folks under the skin, and a lot of them are. I've had encounters with, all manner and kind of big star and little star, and what matters is the person.
Yeah.
And the heart. I mean, I'd have to say Gladys Knight was one of my favorite people.
Gladys Knight? Oh, wow.
Oh, what a dynamite lady. What a great person.
And what a great set of pipes on her as well. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, what a talent.
Oh, my God. It's the famous thing with Dick Clark. There's like a compilation, for many years, every time they'd be on American Bandstand, Dick Clark would always say, "And now Gladys Pip and the Knights." He would keep saying this is like a bunch of times. Like, get it right, Dick. Some other highlights of work. Now, you said you did one with Ozzy Osbourne. Was that like early solo career, or wasn't Black Sabbath? It's when he was solo.
Yes, solo. In fact, when he was with Black Sabbath, we played Fort Wayne and Indianapolis, and we traveled together to those two cities.
Oh, wow.
And in Indianapolis on the second night, I wound up in the bar. I was drinking in those days.
Right.
This was 77, 76, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were opening for Black Sabbath.
So this would have been their Sabotage tour, and then you guys are doing Next. Got it.
And I wind up in the bar. It's just me and Ozzy, and we're both drinking, and it's like 1:30 in the morning. The guy's wrapping it up. He's closing the bar, and fucking Ozzy wants to go out and get into trouble. He wants to go looking for a fight or trouble. And I go, Ozzy, give me your key. He takes out his hotel key, and I take him. I go, come with me. And I walk him to his hotel room. I open the door. I throw him in his fucking hotel. I say, you're staying in there, and you're not going anywhere tonight. You hear me? If I see you or hear about you coming out of your room, I'm going to kick your ass. He goes, oh, okay, mate. All right, man.
That's awesome.
He's completely fucked up. And I'm saying to myself, man, this guy is so fucking 6 sheets to the wind. I can't let him go out in Indian. You know what the cops are like in Indianapolis?
I've been to Indianapolis. I do know, and especially 1976 Indianapolis. A long-haired English guy. Yeah.
Those are some serious motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
They don't mess around. And you wind up, they throw away the key on your English head.
No.
Gig.
Now, how about Elton? You mentioned Elton John, correct?
Elton John what a talent, man. Oh.
Tell me about what tour was that, and what was interactions with him like?
Down through the years, we did a lot of stuff with Elton. I mean, all through the 80s and 90s. And I remember the last thing I saw with Steve Cohen doing the beautiful production was Elton with the full band in Charleston, South Carolina. And he gets to the end of the show, and this is after he's married to David Furness, and he's settled down, and he's done with his craziness,
drugs and all that,
and all that shit.
Yeah.
And he's just doing fabulous shows. And so he does this killer knockdown, wow show. And at the end, he goes, all these years, you've been so wonderful to me, and you've all stuck with me all these years through thick and thin, and I really appreciate it. I just want you to know we've had such a great time together, and I love you all. And he goes, he starts playing the piano, and he goes, it's a little bit funny.
Your song.
This feeling? Yeah. And
beautiful.
There wasn't a dry eye in the house, dude.
And that was his very first hit, so it's a perfect intro into that, too. Kind of like, thank you for all these years, and it's called Your Song as well. It's perfect.
Exactly. What a great finish. And he just nailed it, man. It was, I had tears in my eyes. And
aww. Now, what his guitar player that's been with him for so many years? I forgot
the guy with blonde hair.
Yeah, I forgot his name. Oh God, we're the worst.
In
Keep
fact,
forgetting everyone's name.
I saw him that day in the hotel at the pool, relaxing. And I remember thinking to myself, man, this guy has done this for so many years.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Shit.
Oh, I got it. David Johnstone.
That's it, David Johnstone. Yep. And a very nice man, as a matter of fact. Also,
I mean, he's been with Elton since pretty much when he started the Elton John band. It's like he's been there. He's seen it all. He's seen the highs, the lows.
Yeah, he's been there for a very long time. That's correct.
I mean, we're talking 40-plus years. First of all, I was going to ask you favorite venue. Let's ask that. Let me ask that one. Then I want to go on a day in the life of a tour manager. So first question, what was your favorite venue? What were some of your favorite venues? Like you just loved every time. It didn't matter what band. You just loved the audiences or whatever.
I love going to Japan and the
Budokan or
the Sun Kokkaido and the Budokan and
wow
and Osaka were really great. I did Japan twice with Night Ranger and 4 times with Journey, so I got to know Japan pretty good.
Did you ever get to know the very famous concert promoter there, Mr. Udo? Did you ever have a run-in with meet him?
I was just going to describe him to you. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man. I love Mr. Udo. In fact, I used to say to everyone at the end of every tour, we'd go out and have a meal with Mr. Udo, and he'd treat us all to the Hama Steakhouse, where $4,000 for 10 people to eat dinner. I mean, just ridiculous expense, and the Kobe beef and all that shit, and just really do it up right and take care of us. Mr. Udo was is a no bullshit guy. He's the greatest. And
if you read a lot of rock autobiographies or biographies, his name, anytime they mention Japan, that name comes up. So I had to ask.
You never hear a discouraging word about that gentleman.
No.
He is the greatest. He is the greatest.
Every single autobiography or biography I've read, and they mention Japan, it's always Mr. Udo, and it's always like he always takes care of his bands. He always takes care of you. He makes sure you need anything you need, everything's taken care of. And now here's another person saying it. On Bob's Radio Cafeteria, Mr. Udo getting props. Now, give us a day in the life of a tour manager. What was? It doesn't matter what band. Just pick a band. And what?
Well, basically, you're the first one up and the last one to bed, and everything's your fault, and nobody ever says thank you.
No, I didn't ask you what it's like to be married. I said, what's a day in the life of being a tour manager?
Well, it is like a marriage. It is yeah. Like you're married to 6 guys, and it is incredibly rewarding and fulfilling. It's like being the captain of your own ship, and your crew, your people are your sacred trust, and it's to do it properly and get it done right. And the great reward to me was city after city after city to have people say, Pat, I do this a lot, promoters and production managers and people that you work with. I do this a lot, and I got to tell you, you are just a real pleasure to work with. You're great.
Aww.
Thank you. And whenever that would happen, which was fortunately a lot, it would just be such a great feeling, And to be honest, that's the reward of it. That's the great joy of it is the fulfillment, the human interplay, and the fulfillment of it. It was great. And you don't stop all day long. It's the catering, the security, the tickets, the passes, the fan club, the promotion, the calling the next city and the next city and the next city and the next promoter and the next promoter, see how tickets are doing and how we do. My time with Journey was in their beginning when they went from 74 to 84. It was the beginning and the first really big. By 79, 80, we were doing stadiums.
Right. They were huge.
In 74, we were doing little shitholes.
Right.
You know, we were playing places that you wouldn't take your wife to.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. It's so cool for you to be able to see this band that, you know, yeah, they had a couple of members were in Santana and all that. They had the wonderful thing with that, but you know, Journey, the first few albums, you know, they weren't really, you know, they weren't the Journey that we all know, people know now. You know, the massive late 70s through the mid 80s. Actually, the years you were there, you know.
They were a hometown favorite in San Francisco. Our show at Winterland for Bill Graham was a semi-annual or annual society event. All the big hippies and pot dealers, the creme de la creme of the hippie world, would come to our show, and along with the Grateful Dead and the Starship and Moby Grape and the Tubes and Canis and who am I leaving out?
Oh my God, you're leaving out Boz Scaggs.
Boz Scaggs. San Francisco was such a music town. It's such a great Steve Miller.
Oh, of course. I want to ask you, were you at that last Winterland show with the Blues Brothers and the Grateful Dead played for like 4 or 5 hours? No,
I didn't get to be there. In fact, I think I was in Europe at that time with Journey.
And now there's there's apartment building there. There's no plaque there. It just irritates, like there's no plaque. There should at least be like, this place. I actually had a question. A friend of mine named Amy said, why did Journey for their song Separate Ways, why did they do that? But I know it's the Oakland port, but why did they choose that place to do the video by the they're by the docks? It's
that was shot in New Orleans. Yeah. It was the video maker, who was the guy. He was the darling of the CBS guys, the Columbia guys at the time.
Oh, it wasn't Oakland. That's New Orleans. Oh.
It was shot in New Orleans, and we all hated it. Wow. I thought it was. I mean, I don't think the band was into it either. Really, they didn't. If
he ever hurt you, true love won't desert you. Yeah. Oh, I always thought it was Oakland. I guess not, because that could explain it. Because there was one scene after she asked me that question. I went back and watched the video, and I was like, "If that's the Bay Bridge in the back, this is off. This port should not be right here." So well, now we know it's New Orleans, and they were on tour. Now, switching gears, I know you're a huge football fan. I'm a huge football fan. Our buddy Howie's a huge football fan. And I found this article, which was really fantastic article about you. It was from 1981, Candlestick Park. The 49ers were playing the late, great Houston Oilers. I know they're the Titans, but they'll always be the Houston Oilers to me. And Phil Tuckett was on the side. I'm reading this. Was reading this on the sideline, capturing the action. The cameraman for NFL Films. And he noticed this guy following him, and he said, "Hi, do I know you?" And no, says the man, "but we're a huge fan of NFL Films." His name was Pat Morrow, and he was Journey's tour manager. So you hooked up NFL Films with Journey. Tell me about that, and just talk about that experience. I saw that. I was like, wow, that's really fascinating.
Well, I got to meet Phil and got to know him and introduced him to Herbie, the manager, and they became buddies, and we got NFL Films, which at the time was the largest processor of Kodak film in the world besides the U.S. Army.
Wow.
Nobody bought as much film as NFL Films, and they did all the games. And we, being big NFL fans, we loved the games and the footage, and we made a great documentary called, what is it, Frontiers and Beyond?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah. Did you ever get to meet Steve Sable?
Oh yeah, I met Steve and his dad.
What were they? Tell me about. These are, for people who don't know, these are the guys. The father started NFL Films, and then the son took over. And two, I think, did you ever get to meet the great John Facenda either? Did you ever meet any of these people? I mean, you met the father and son.
I didn't meet John Facenda, but I had the honor of having my name spoken by John Facenda on the film.
Oh, my God. You know what? That's it, Pat. Who cares about all the bands you work for? Who cares about Elton John and Journey and Madonna and Ozzy Osbourne and all that stuff? You know what? Your voice was said by the late, great John Facenda. What was it said? Like, and the towering Pat Morrow walks across the cloudy tundra of Candlestick Pond. What did he say?
He goes, a cuddly teddy bear one moment and a wolf. And we faked a big scene where I'm yelling and screaming at Steve Clark, the tour manager, and going crazy. It was a lot of fun.
I got to look for it on YouTube. I got to look for it. I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's still available. There's a guy, if you Google it, Frontiers and Beyond, there's a guy in Florida who got a copy master and made a bunch of copies, and he sent me like 5 copies of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's a big Journey fan. I forget his name, but a really nice guy. And he was kind enough to send me a bunch of copies. Great guy. Well,
props to him. Whoever your name is in Florida, props to you and Pat. And speaking of NFL, so you're a huge Steelers fan like Howie. How did you become a Steelers fan? A New York guy by way of San Francisco. You think either be the Giants or the Niners. You're a Steelers fan. Howie we know because he grew up in Pittsburgh.
Explain the genesis of this. I grew up a Redskins fan.
Ooh, God, I'm hanging up. That's it. N22's over. I'm a Cowboys fan, so you can't. That's it. Sorry.
Then I moved. Well, that's where you and me have a problem.
Yeah, I know.
Then I moved to New York, and I grew up loving the Jets and Joe Willie.
Oh, well, who couldn't? How can you not love Joe Namath? Come on.
And the '80s Niners. What a thrill! I mean, there I am sitting at the annual team luncheon with all the bigwigs and the Journey members and Herbie, and we're sitting at the table with Joe Montana at our table.
Oh my God!
And I'm shaking hands with Ronnie Lott and
Dwight Clark and
Roger Craig and Dwight Clark. Dwight Clark, what a gentleman! Super guy.
Nice guy.
In fact, when Dwight came to the gig, we had all the band members come down to the sound check at the Cow Palace because I gave them all parking passes and laminates so they could get in that night without any hassle. They could come right in the back door. I said, listen, come down to the sound check, and I'll take care of you, and everything will be all set. And so sure enough, here they come. And Dwight Clark comes into the sound check, and I notice he's got 2 white T-shirts. Well, he hands me 2 practice T-shirts which say Niners on them in red. White T-shirts that say Niners in red, and nobody but team members have them. And he gave me
that's so cool.
He said, Pat, I thought you'd dig these. Nobody has these. And I go, oh, Dwight, you are the best, man. Thank you.
Because they kind of went hand in hand. Journey and the 49ers and Huey Lewis and the News were like all three of those entities went together.
Yeah, Huey is a big fan, and they love him. And those guys, by the way, are fantastic people too. I'm good friends with Huey and the guys.
Great band. Their first 3 albums. I mean, actually, their Picture This. I'm a big fan of Picture This. The second album, I think it's a great album.
They're still so great live. I toured with them last year in the spring.
Oh, cool.
And they were just tremendous. What a great show. What a fabulous show. What a
talent. Just talented guys, man. Whew.
They're very talented. Extremely.
They don't make rock stars like that anymore. They're just, it's just another era,
Once again, like Gordy Knudsen with Steve Miller and Steve Smith, with Journey, Bill Gibson, the drummer with Huey Lewis.
Oh, he's great.
4 on the floor, no more, don't bore us, get to the chorus. I mean, he just so tight.
Oh, he is. I mean, he kept that. I mean, he was playing pop.
I put it to you that every great rock band, its foundation and strength is in the drummer.
Yep.
And if
Agreed.
The drummer sucks, the band sucks.
Absolutely. And the Rolling Stones are still around because they have one of the most solid drummers of all time.
That's right. Absolutely.
And Huey Lewis, people look back at Huey Lewis and go, oh, yeah, they're that pop band that was really big for a few years. It's like, yeah, but they really were great musicians. I mean,
they still go out and they're busy.
Did you work with Clover, the band before Huey Lewis? Did you ever work with them?
Of course.
I would have thought so.
I did rentals with them with SIR in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah, Pointer Sisters and Annie Sampson and Stoneground and rock and roll history. The Tubes, the greatest unsung band of all.
From San Francisco.
All fame and no fortune. The Tubes show was so fucking good, man.
You loved them. You had a good time.
Oh, they were so good. Talent. Awesome.
It just feels so. You're the thing is, it's cool is that you said something earlier. You said what made me feel the best is at the end of a tour, someone would come up to me and say, man, thank you so much, Pat. But what says it more? It's like I just said about Charlie Watts. I mean, why are the Rolling Stones still around? You said behind every good band is a great drummer. Well, that's why the Stones are still around. They still have Charlie Watts. Okay, and going back to what you said, it's almost the same thing. It's like there's the true testament to how good of a tour manager you are, is that you still are doing it. That says everything, Pat.
Well,
and that's kudos to you, my brother, because that really is the true testament.
I had a wonderful, wonderful run, and I got to go all over the world, and I have a wonderful wife and two beautiful daughters and a happy life and accomplishment. But there's nothing like traveling and going to all those places and doing it, successfully and pulling it off. And you realize after a while that the real key to it is to just treat everybody, make everybody part of your thing and make it all special for them as well as yourself. And
right.
And it really, that's how it works. And I really can't bitch, Robert.
No, the story, just some of this, I know you probably have a trillion stories, and we're going to probably do it part 2, because I know there's more stories to get out of you, but we don't want to overwhelm ourselves here. But, just the stories you've said tonight are enough to go, oh, my God, that's one man's lifetime right there. But it's like, oh, Robert, that's just a little bit, did I tell you about the time when,
You know who else was really fun to see and to work with was U2.
Really? Tell me about that. My daughter Emily is a huge U2 fan. So yeah, could you share some U2? What tour?
I got involved in War, Zoo TV.
Wow.
Joshua Tree.
Oh my God, these are the big tours, man. These are the stadium tours.
3 or 4 stadium tours, the early ones, and they were they are so good. It's incredible. Bono can sing his ass off, man.
Were they nice guys? Really, really cool guys?
Oh, yeah. More to follow. We'll catch it in the next installment, huh?
Yeah, let's do that. So before we wrap up here, tell people where they can find you again.
Well, if you like to email me, it's Patrick _Angus, ANGUS, my middle name, @yahoo.com.
Pat, thank you so much for being on Bob's Radio Cafeteria. We had a little thing there for 2 months. We were playing phone tag, but we finally did it, and we know our buddy Howie's, as you called him, the neurotic joke. He'll be very happy to know that this is finally done. But thank you so much for being on Bob's Radio Cafeteria.
Props to Howie, and thank you for indulging me. Indeed, Robert.
Well, I'm a pop culture rock and roll junkie. So to me, this isn't hearing these stories is just like eating ice cream. It's like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. So this is an enjoyment for me, and it's an honor to talk to you, Pat, because you truly are a legend.
I'm at your disposal, and thanks so much.
Thank you. And you're listening to Bob's Radio Cafeteria. And again, you can find me Facebook.com/Bob's Radio Cafeteria, YouTube.com/The Clarences, and of course, Comfortably Zoned. Oh my God, I can't even say it right. Ralph Tycho. I'm so sorry. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network with Ralph, and of course my good friend Fred with his Durfcast. Thank you so much, Pat. See everybody next time on Bob's Radio Cafeteria. Bye.